Let's say you have multiple passions, many things you want to create in life. Should you just focus on one of them and become really good at that? Or should you diversify? Should you become a master of all trades? The advice which is usually given is that you're better off specializing in one field, okay, becoming really good at guitar or whatever, and kind of dropping off the other interests you might have. Because the idea here is that you are more likely to waste time if you don't do that, and you will not reach the same heights as the great masters if you split your time, obviously, in 8 different interest matters. So jack of all trades, master of none is kind of the general expression there, the idea there. And in my case, I struggled with that quite a lot over the years, and I have come to the conclusion that I don't care what everybody says. I want to do many things and I will do them, because why are we on earth otherwise? Who are we really exactly trying to please? Okay. By doing one single thing. So I will start off with saying that it is quite possible that you are the type of person that benefits from the single field approach, the single discipline approach. And if that's you, I raise my hat to you, more power to you. And it is a type of personality. It depends on a lot of things, but Steve Vai, Robert Fripp, the King Crimson player, he's essentially, I think he said that, he's an Olympic level guitar player. He's been practicing at least minimum 3 hours a day since he was a teenager. Many times he's practiced a lot more than that. He has dedicated his life to that craft. There's also that sushi chef, right? I think Jiro is his name. I haven't seen the movie, but there was an apparently quite good documentary that was made. I think it's called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. And the whole idea is that this is a man who has dedicated his entire life to learning one single skill, a quite complex skill, which is making sushi. Since there are so many types of sushi and whatever, this is the one thing he does. And another great example, he's also Japanese, is Miyamoto Musashi, the very famous samurai. There's been many movies made about him. He wrote Treaty of Five Wheels, I think, which is a great book about self-discipline. It's quite often recommended. It's a great read. But, and that worked for them, and Miyamoto Musashi became arguably the greatest swordsman in the history of Japan. Robert Fripp, quite arguably, technically the most proficient, guitar player. He's up there. I mean, he's on the top of the mountain. There may be other people on top of the guitar mountain, but I don't think anybody is higher than Robert Fripp. But Steve Vai is up there. He's playing with Beat right now, like with the other Tony Levin and Adrian Belew. They're playing the King Crimson music, and he's the one who was chosen to play the Fripp parts. And there are a few he can't play, but because they're just truly insane level of guitar proficiency. But Steve Vai is essentially at Robert Fripp player. And so these guys reach those levels by dedicating their entire lives to that craft. And it is admirable and it is wonderful, and they are doing things which it is quite likely that I'm not likely to achieve in this lifetime. Though I am working on playing Fracture, King Crimson Fracture, the guitar thing. It's one of the most difficult guitar pieces on earth. I've been at it for like 15 years. It's hard, but also that's partly because I haven't dedicated my entire life to one second thing. And why is that? Well, okay. I've been working on, I've been making a board game. I've been working on a novel. I shot some short movies, a few of them. I'm preparing to shoot a new one right now. It's a long pre-production process, but I'm working on that. I'm writing songs, though I haven't written a few songs in a few months, but I had one that came in a dream this morning. So, and I can see that I will be putting a lot more time in music in the coming months. So I wrote maybe up to now, maybe I've written 100 songs or something like that, and so on. I've done quite a lot of stuff. I came to the conclusion that, well, first of all, this idea that we can't reach high levels in a multiplicity of fields, that's actually demonstrably false. Okay, and I think that's because we underestimate just what human beings can do. For instance, like Leonardo da Vinci. Well, you might say, well, he was a genius, and that's why he could do all these things. But he he not try it? Is he not a human being like you? Okay, so this idea that, okay, and what did he do? He created these insane masterpieces. Like, I saw one Da Vinci painting up close in my life, and it was so intensely beautiful and masterful that I had to sit down and just sit awestruck for about 20 minutes. It's that powerful. So he had that level of achievement, but he was, I think, a diplomat. He was certainly an inventor. He's very famous for that. Invented the parachute, invented the tank, and so forth. So he did a lot of things, And David Lynch, one of my favorite directors, very, very good. You probably know him. He's very cool. Well, yeah, he's a master director in many ways. He has his own style, but he's a highest level director in many ways. But he's also he makes furniture, and he paints, and he's written a couple of books, and he's written albums, and he has done all these things. So, and what does David Lynch do? Well, when he's making a movie, he focuses on that movie, and once the movie is done, if he decides that he wants to build some furniture, he kind of internally switches gear. It takes him a little while to adjust, but then he goes into furniture mode, and then he spends a month or 3 months building furniture, and that's how he does it. He kind of switches gear internally. But the fact is that he can do it. And there are other approaches than switching gears, though that's a very good one. So in my case, and I'm not saying that my approach is perfect, but that's the one I found, is that, okay, well, I'll just split some time in my day. I will spend X hours on the novel, X hours on the YouTube videos, and once, if I have no more time in the day, well then, okay, that is a project that, like David Lynch, I will put off to in a few months. Like right now, I don't have time to write the songs, but I'm prioritizing finishing the novel because I have an opportunity maybe to publish it, and I want to finish it by the end of the year, essentially. So I'm putting a lot of effort into that, but I'm also building a coaching channel, so that a coaching service. So links in the description. So that takes up some time. So I have maybe 3 or 4 projects which I juggle and manage, and I find that the more I work on one, if I'm disciplined on one and I keep up the pace on that one, I can use that momentum to help with the other project. So I've been doing a lot of YouTube videos that takes up a lot of time in my day. So right now I'm making essentially 3 videos a day. Shoot them and edit them and put them online, make the thumbnails, all that stuff. So I do the novel in the morning, and I shoot and edit the 3 videos, and I work on that's and then now I'm trying to put in like a couple of hours, an hour or 2 of the coaching service, or stuff like that, essentially. The idea here is that the approach I've taken is to put aside some blocks of time for the various projects and just work on them every day. And I have maybe 2 or 3 projects I can manage at the same time, something like that. Maybe 3 is a good number. Whatever is on top of that, I put aside, like the board game, for instance. I do want to finish it, even though I've been working on it for years. Once it comes time for me to actually finish at least the first draft of the rules, I'll put aside a block of time for a couple of months, and I'll work on that, and then that project will be finished, and then probably by that time maybe I'll be doing some pre-production on the short video, short movie, etc. The general idea here is that it is doable. The core thing is, why did I listen to the people who are telling me that you have to focus on just one? It's because I was afraid of starting anything. And I was doing stuff, right? But I was still I was unsure of myself. I didn't trust my own intuition, right? And people, if you don't trust your own intuition, people will give you advice. If you ask them to tell you what you should be doing with your life, they will tell you, even if they don't know, which they usually don't. I mean, essentially, they never know. You know what you should be doing with your life. You should listen to yourself, right? And in my case, I will mention that, Robert Fripp was my model, but he had the inner tools to be hyper-disciplined at a young age, even as a teenager. And I didn't have that, okay? And I hated it, and I felt terrible. But the fact is that instead of feeling terrible for not having the self-discipline and having no one to teach me that self-discipline, if you don't have it by birth, or your parents didn't have it, you had no models, well, you don't know how to do it, you need to develop that skill, okay? It's not a moral quality, discipline, it's a skill. It's a habit you have to build, right? So instead of spending ultimately many years just feeling bad and trying to build my self-discipline and not achieving it, and telling myself, okay, should I do this or should I do that? I wasted a lot of time, though again, I did do stuff, short movies, whatever, but I did lose some time, like more time than I should, really. Just wondering which discipline should I choose and beating myself on the head because I felt I didn't have the self-discipline to practice guitar 8 hours a day. But I would have been much better served to just recognize, okay, that's where you are right now. Okay, can you manage, can you begin with 30 minutes of actual guitar practice every day? Can you do 15 minutes? I could have been working on multiple projects while developing that skill and that discipline skill and building on the fact that I had grown some discipline to help with the other projects. But even if I was being undisciplined and working on many projects at the same time, I could have been doing it. So the moral of the story is that precisely you need to focus on only one thing, is just a story. That's the core thing here. People give you this advice because they have this model of this is what the greatest samurai in history did, or the sushi guy did, or the Olympic athletes, if you like. This is what they did. But those are kind of very specific examples, and their lives and their culture, certainly in the case of the Japanese, they have completely different viewpoints and habits and personalities from you in many instances. And the fact is that even Robert Fripp has other artistic projects. He does kind of paintings or collages, stuff like that. So it's just simply not true that you have to do only one. And if you have the inner, I would say calling, if your soul, if you want to call it that, it doesn't matter what you call it. If your inner self is telling you, you try painting and try music, well, our point of view is that just pick one because you need to be serious. And that's kind of like the voice that tells you, don't play guitar, become a lawyer. It's kind of like, you need to be serious, you need to focus on just one. And only you can know if you need to focus on just one, or if you should instead focus on your many projects and learn how to manage that. Because those are two different skill sets. Working on one craft and becoming really good at it, or managing multiple interests and projects. Okay, these are different skill sets, and both are quite valid, and ultimately both depend on what your inner voice is telling you. The feeling is different. Okay, somewhere inside you, you know which one you should be doing, and our main problem is that we don't know how to recognize that voice. So that's essentially a big part of my coaching program, is helping you recognize that voice and become your creative self and overcome those blocks. So if you're curious, drop me a line. We'll have a free consultation. We'll see if what I have to offer can help you. But ultimately, the big message here, once again, is that it is not at all a rule that you need to focus only on one matter. It is not true that you will ruin your creative life if you try to do many things at once. You might waste a lot of time trying to do that, when in reality you should be doing multiple projects at the same time. So listen to yourself, and listen to your colleagues, listen to your creative urges, and create your masterpieces. I want to see them, and the world needs them. See you soon.